Aloha and welcome to Knitted Paradise, where the needles are clicking and the yarn is squishy. My name is Lucia, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Pearl of the Pacific. Today is Sunday, November 22nd, and this is episode 98. So, hello everyone. I hope you had a lovely week. Mine has gone by very quickly. I can't believe it's been a whole week since I was in Arizona, but it has been, and I'm back home. We made it home safely, albeit late at night because our flight was delayed. I don't know what it is about us and our flights home getting delayed, but it is what it is. We did get home. It was a direct flight, so I wasn't worried about connections, which was the trouble last time. So we got home, and I had a good week at work, and I got lots of knitting done, so I have lots of things to show you. Let's start with Below the Conch Shell. The fall knit along is still going on. I'm sorry, this is kind of getting old after I keep mentioning it every week, but I thought I should mention it again. If you're knitting anything that's fall colored or fall themed in any way, go ahead and enter it into the thread on Ravelry. You can search for Knitted Paradise Podcast. That's the group, and there should be a thread called like Fall Colors Knit Along. Crochet also works, spinning also works, felting works. I mean, things related to fibery stuff, it all works. I just call it knit along because that's the easiest thing to call it. Anyway, go enter or post your pictures, and that's how you enter. And yeah, it'll be open till the end of November, so another week. So I will draw prizes for that. Maybe not next week, but the following week, I think, which will be episode 100, which is kind of awesome and cool and weird at the same time. So we'll draw prizes for that. I still don't know what the prizes are going to be, though there will be two, probably a yarn prize and a pattern prize. So figure that out when we get there. So, ta-da! And then we'll figure out another knit along for the next couple months. So let's start with Set Sail, because I finished some things, and so I thought I'd show you those first before I show you what I'm working on. So the things that were almost done last week were the How Come That Blood Socks by Kaczynski out of Blue Ridge Yarn's Footprints in Dragon's Breath. Ta-da! And as you can see, I ordered more yarn from the Loopy Ewe, including some of their solid series in orange. That's what the color is called. And it's pretty close to the other orange. It's a little more subdued. It's a little darker. Whereas this is much brighter, you can see. Okay, that's really contrasting on camera. In person, it's not as bad. But when they're this far apart and this part's in your shoe, no one's gonna notice, right? Yeah. So I really enjoyed this pattern. It's actually quite simple. It's a cable pattern that starts, it's actually a top-down pattern, and I converted it to toe-up, as I do. But this is what it looks like on the front of the foot. So it's ribbing until you start with this cable pattern, and then it goes out like that. It's very simple, and I really enjoyed it. I may knit this again at some point. So that's that one. Here's the other socks. So these are done. Size 11 man socks, and they will be going to the recipient soon. His birthday is somewhere in December. So those will be done. And this is the first time I've knit things concurrently, so like in parallel. And I did enjoy it. It didn't seem to go that much slower. One sock did turn out bigger than the other one. At least on these ones it did. I think this is the bigger one. Yeah. So one is actually quite a bit taller than the other one, which is odd because they're the same pattern. So I counted the same number of rows. So I don't know what happened. Hopefully he won't notice. If not, I can rip it back. And I do have a little bit of extra that I can do some things with. The cat is eyeing my lap. No, you cannot come up. These, on the other hand, turned out the same length, mainly because I measured them by length instead of by pattern, because the only pattern on these are the Wonder Woman socks that I knit for my husband out of GnomeAcres Bungalow Gnome in Wonder Woman. And they is very subtle, especially with this swirly stripy thing going on. But it is the Wonder Woman W on there. And if people are interested, I can release the chart as I did with the Batgirl or the Bat symbol rather, and the Star Trek symbol, the Star Trek chevron, I think it's called. So if people are interested in that W, I know it's really hard to see. There you go. Kind of see it. It's there, I promise. If people are interested in that, let me know, and I will certainly put together a free chart. I'll just release the chart. I won't release the whole pattern. But these are done, and they are the same length. At least I'm measuring from, one's a little taller than the other. I don't know what it is. Because I measured them before I started the W, so that they would be the same length. But I just I didn't like really measure like counting rows, or it was kind of like, well, that's close enough. Really, the guys aren't going to notice, so whatever. And the third pair of socks I finished that I showed you last week in cakes was these socks, which I decided to do the Zigzagular socks by Susie White. And this is GnomeAcres House Gnome in Beast is the colorway. And these are the Zigzagular socks, and I love them. It's a very simple pattern once you get it going. It's super simple, super quick, and I really like it. It's a nice unisex pattern that gives some interest to a guy's sock, but it's it's a little bit out there, maybe for some guys, but this guy isn't going to care. He likes them. I mean, obviously he's wearing bright blue socks, so you know what? They're going to get a little pattern on them. That's right. So these are for another really good friend of mine. So, and that was really quick to knit. So they're still a little damp. I was blocking them. I soaked them this morning while I was getting ready, and so they're still a little damp. But that is 3 pairs of man socks. Yeah, that's right. In 3 weeks. That's a lot of socks. I know, it was funny, for the Harry Potter knit along, I was complaining that I didn't want to knit 3 pairs of socks in a month. Because I was going to originally do a pair of socks for me as the main challenge, but I ended up doing the Firebolt instead. And then I thought, I can do 2 pairs of socks. And then I finished these so quickly that I cast on third one and finished it. So I cast on another pair because that's what I do. I've apparently turned into a man or dude sock knitting machine, which I think is now going to be the episode title. So these are the ones I've been working on, which are knit out of the Improv sock blank that I got from Leadingman Fiber Arts at Vogue Knitting Live for review, and this is what the sock blank looks like. You can unroll it. It's called Cry Over Spilt Milk, which I love, and it's really cool how it's knitting up. You can't only knit from one end. I tried knitting from the other end, so just let you know, you can pull it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can pull it out, but then it just turns into a tangled mess. And so when you pull it, it gets, here I'll show you, it gets caught. I have one close to the edge here. When you pull it out from the edge, it's still through a loop there, and you can't necessarily pull it out from there. I suppose maybe you could put the whole sock through. I haven't quite figured it out, but it is a one edge kind of dealy, as this mess can attest to. So I may try to untangle it at some point. Right now, I'm just kind of rolling it up in the sock blank, which I'm discovering is a very nifty way. Like for cakes, you cake them up. For this, I just kind of roll it, and it's great. I took this actually to Arizona in case I felt like knitting on it there, but I didn't, because you don't have to cake it. You can just knit straight from the sock blank. So I'm really enjoying this. I don't mind the kinky yarn at all, because oftentimes when I rip things out and restart them, I don't wash them. I think I've done it once, but other than that, I don't really do it. It's too much work for me to because when you rip it out, usually I cake it, and then I have to wind it on my Swift, and then wash it, and then dry it, and hope it doesn't get tangled, and then reball it. Too much work. So I normally just knit with it kinky like this. And I don't mind it at all. It's really nice. I just kind of roll this up, stick this in my knitting bag, and when I just pull it out, I'm just, just pull some and knit with it. It's funny because you pull a lot of it and then it kinks down, so you're like, oh, I don't have that much, and then you start knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting, and then you're like, oh, now I need to pull more. So it's a little weird that you think you don't have that much, and then you knit and knit and knit and knit, and then you need to pull more. So I'm really enjoying it. It's really cool. I love the dye technique and how it looks. So this is my first time knitting with a sock blank, and I'm really liking it. So this is what the bottom of the sock looks like. Needles everywhere. So that's what it looks like knit up. So you kind of see the speckles of that blue and the black. And it's funny because when I looked at it, it looked very blue. And then I got it home and I'm thinking it looks more gray. And then now that I'm knitting it up, it's a very bluish gray. It's very interesting. I don't know what color they used, but I love it. It's an amazing color. And I'm knitting the Vorpal socks by Rachel Coopey. And, oops, sorry, needles on the computer. You can kind of see the pattern there. It's ribbed with some twisted stitches and then this cable thing that travels across. And I'm doing the heel increases, or the gusset increases right now, and then I'll turn the heel. And then there's two more crossy things, these things. Oh, there, you can kind of see it back here. These thingies on the leg. And they've got different patterns in the middle of them. This one is reverse stockinette. I forget what the other ones are. But I'm really liking this pattern on this yarn. I know it's kind of hard to see, but these are going to be for another guy friend of mine. So 4th pair of dude socks. And I started these last night. Yeah, they're going really quickly. I'm only knitting one at a time because I can only knit one at a time. I tried. Trust me. They are a top-down pattern that I'm reversing and knitting toe up. And it's very simple. It's charted, so I just read the charts upside down. It's kind of normal for me at this point. And I'm really enjoying it. So, yay for sock blanks. And you can see the stitches kind of look wonky. Some of them, like, where is the one? Like, right, see if you can see it right there. I don't know if you can see that. That's really popping out over the other ones. So we'll see how it is when I block it out. I might block one and then knit the other one and then kind of show them to you side by side. But you can see on the bottom, it doesn't look as smooth as it would if you're knitting with straight yarn when you knit it. So it is a little bit funky. You do have to get used to it, but I don't mind it at all. I know it's gonna block out and I'm not having a problem with it. So, ta-da! So that's what I'm working on right now. And we'll see how those go this week. It kind of depends what kind of knitting time I get and what kind of knitting time I don't get. So we'll see. But that is what I've been working on, is socks, lots of socks. Yeah. Ta-da! Dude sock knitting machine. Yeah. Lots of points for Hogwarts professors. I can't say Gryffindor. I keep wanting to say 10 points for Gryffindor, and then I'm not in Gryffindor. I've now graduated Gryffindor, and I'm now a Hogwarts professor. So 10 points for the professors. Yeah. Actually, that's 10, 20, 30. If I finish those, it's 40 points for the professors. Yeah. All right, moving on. The other thing I got from the Loopy Ewe, because I'm not just going to order one skein of yarn, is dun, 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 some of the Meow collection from Ancient Arts Yarns. Sorry, I forgot the name for a second. And I got the gray tuxedo, I think is the colorway, because it looked like my cat. So this is the gray tuxedo colorway. It's a very bluish gray, I'm realizing, whereas my cat is a very brownish gray. Maybe he'll come make an appearance and I can show you the difference. But it's still very similar to our cat. So I'm going to make some socks out of this for me, because then when I walk around and I get cat hair all over my socks, you can't tell because it looks like the socks. I'm a little excited about that. So we'll see. I saw on the Junk Yarn podcast, she had some, I think it was the calico. I don't remember what the colorway was. She was giving one away, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need one of those that looks like my cat, just because I do. So I'm going to knit some socks out of these, because they're also just very neutral colors. So that'll be nice to have just some neutral socks, because I find myself wanting those sometimes. I know it's weird. I normally want like really bright socks. Sometimes I just want neutral socks. So those are going to become socks for me. And that was it from the mainland. That and the orange, which has already been knit up. I have quite a bit left, so I may make pumpkins for next fall or something, or just put it in my stash. I have a very large stash of the Loopy Ewe solid series of lots of colors. So, I mean, I could probably knit a rainbow out of all the colors I have. Yeah, because now I have orange. So red, orange, yellow, green. Do I have blue? Yeah, I do have blue. I do have some purple left, I think. Yeah. And then I have white and black. A lot of colors. I was planning to use them for some grand project, and that hasn't quite happened yet. So they're just kind of sitting there for now. Yeah, so that's from the mainland. Flora and Fauna, someone asked about my knitting plans or my knitting goals, if I had any for this year. I didn't have any for this year, really, now that I think about it. I have had some for past years. Pan, here, let me move this, and why don't you come over and say hi. Come here. Then I can show them the yarn and you together. See? Yarn and cat. See, don't they go well together? I think so. He's a little more brown, but that's okay. This is Pantalaimon, or Pan, the cat. So, knitting goals. Sorry for that little tangent. Knitting goals, I didn't have any this year, actually. I mean, I always plan to knit some socks, and generally one a month. I generally like to knit like 12 socks in a year, although I've now knit 3 in 1 month, so I think I've knit 2 a month if you add them all up. I think I'm upwards of like 20 socks this year. That'd be interesting to go note. I'm going to look that up. Not right now, but maybe I'll put that in my notes for next episode. In other knitting plans, I just wanted to knit some of my stash, knit some patterns that I had in my queue. It's more sweaters, which I've started and not finished, so I really need to get on with just doing the provisional cast on for my peaceful pullover sleeves and finish that because it's so close. I really just have to do the yoke and the sleeves. Okay, that's not really close, but it's close-ish, right? It's a pullover, so I don't have to do a button band or anything like that, which makes it seem a little closer. If for knitting plans for next year, I don't know if I really have any goals other than to finish the things like the projects that I've started. I had a thought for another sock pattern. I had like an inspiration in the middle of choir rehearsal for a sock pattern, and I even know what yarn I'm going to use. It's yarn that I have, and I was just kind of figuring out what to do with it, and so I had an idea, and I thought, wham, here we go. So that's going to happen, not right away, because I still need to do my shawl design and some other things. Yeah, I don't know if I have any big overarching goals other than just knit things that I have in my list of things to knit. I have some socks for me and for other people. I guess most of the other people are in this pile of dude socks. Because a lot of my family have gotten socks. I might knit another pair for my brother if I finish the other socks. It's kind of just knitting from stash is mostly my plan. I mean, I'm really happy with my stash because I just went through it and got rid of a bunch of stuff. And so I'm really happy with where it's at right now. I have some things that I need to clear out, which I still need. I'm sorry. I need to post that de-stash, and I just haven't been home or haven't had the energy to do it. And yeah, so that will hopefully happen soon. that's really it in terms of knitting goals. I'm sorry I'm kind of boring in that way. I really do want to figure out the provisional cast on because it's kind of a thing that I need to know. It's kind of something that I have avoided. Anytime they're like, oh, provisionally cast on that, I'm like, ooh, how can I get around that? Often with garter tab cast-ons, they tell you to provisionally cast on and then pick them up later. I just cast on and then pick them up. It looks a little funky, but no one notices, really, in the grand scheme of things. So, while I'm thinking about it, this is the Swedish Spring Shawl by Maria Monska of Stitched in Sweden, and the yarn is O Loops. It was one of their Easter colorways. I can't remember which one it was. But I fell in love with this color and the shawl, and I decided to wear it. Earlier I was dressed in all black for choir, and then I was in sweatpants. Okay, I'm still in sweatpants, but I changed out of my all black and thought I'm going to wear a bright yellow sweater and a bright shawl for you all instead of the black for choir. I think that's it for knitting goals. I just have a lot of things in my queue and a lot of unfinished projects in my basket of work in progress is kind of getting ridiculous. I mean, it's really tall. I have a tower of baskets, like stacking baskets from the Container Store, and I have like yarn scraps in one. I have like stuffing and unused bags in another one, and then I have like knitting tools and some like long-term projects and project bags that I'm not using at the moment. And then on the top one, I have all my works in progress, and it's just growing and growing. Sorry, here. And it's getting really tall. I'm not afraid that's gonna fall out because it's surrounded by a wall on one side and a cabinet thing on the other side, so it's very well contained. The only not contained face is the front, and I'm not concerned that's going to fall, but it's just kind of getting high. Like, there's a picture on the wall behind it. It's almost getting to the point where it's starting to cover the picture. It hasn't quite gotten to the bottom of the frame yet, but that's kind of the limit. It's like, really, Lucia, you need to like knit these down. So that's really my big plan, is just to tackle those. And they're all projects that I love. That's the hard thing. It's not like I don't like any of them. They just, for one reason or another, got put down and then not picked up. I got a couple of sweaters. I have a couple of shawls, two that I'm designing, and then some other ones. The Secret Garden shawl, I know you saw it last week. It hasn't changed that much. I knit on a little bit on the plane, and then I just read my book because I'd been knitting so much that week between all the travel and everything, and it didn't get that much more, so I decided not to show it. But you'll see it next week. Hopefully, I'll work on it a little bit. Now that I've kind of got it down, it's been pretty simple. I still have to look at the pattern, so I can't really take it with me because it's just awkward to be in a meeting and be like, hold on guys, I gotta look at my pattern. It just doesn't go well. So I tend to avoid those when sitting in meetings or things like that. So that's it for knitting plans. If I come up with more, I'll let you know, but that's kind of the goal. It's just to get those works in progress down, or the number of works in progress down, and finish things, because I really want the finished product. I'm a product knitter, and I really want those finished things. And so, yeah, although I've been more a kind of a process knitter lately. I mean, I do want the finished things, but I realize that a lot of like the socks I'm knitting are not for me. And I'm okay with that because I have a whole lot of socks. And so it's kind of nice to knit for other people every once in a while. So I'm really enjoying that. From my holiday, I wanted to share a book that I just finished that I really liked. And it's a Doctor Who book. Dun, dun, dun. So it's kind of fan fiction, but it still continues with the stories and everything. So this one is The Space Age that I got, I think, at Gen Con for like $5, maybe less. And this bookmark that I have with it, which I just think is perfect, I got in a swap, a Doctor Who swap of some sort, and I love it. And it's the perfect size for these books. and it's been great. So this one was the 8th Doctor, who I'm not familiar with. I actually haven't seen, and because the only thing he was in was the movie, and I haven't been able to get a hold of that and watch it. I hope to do that someday. But I still really enjoyed it. He's still the Doctor. You can still see, you know, a lot of different quirks of the Doctors, you know, other Doctors in him. So Paul McGann was the 8th Doctor, if you were wondering. And I really liked it. It's a very interesting story. I don't want to give too much away in case, I don't know if you're ever going to read this, but it was about this group of kind of teenagers from the 1960s that were in two different, like, opposing gangs, and somehow they meet this, or a couple of them meet this alien, and they all get sent to this, like, futuristic city, and just kind of plopped there, and they didn't really ask to be sent there. And the Doctor and his companion arrive and, you know, assess the situation, of course, as they do. And it's just these two opposing gangs that have just been at war with each other, basically. And they can't leave the city, because this city is the only thing that is there. And I won't give too much away about where they are. But it's just this story about kind of the pointlessness of war, and like these petty arguments they have, and why they're fighting with each other, and, you know, it's and, you know, how ridiculous it is. And it was just very interesting to read that. And it's not a war per se. It's not like I declare war on you, but it's a gang war. So it's an interesting story about a gang war in this futuristic city that's kind of decaying, and they have to figure out, they really have to work together to save themselves, but they're unwilling to put aside their differences and just work together. And so it's how the Doctor kind of forces them together into, you know, saving themselves, basically. So that's the story, and I really enjoyed it. And I've been, the books are great for the train to work, because it's not really long enough to get out knitting, and especially when I get on, it's kind of crowded, so I don't get a seat right away, and it's hard to knit standing up while holding on. It just doesn't work. And often I'm wearing gloves because it's cold now. We did get some snow yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. We were supposed to get 6 to 8 inches. I think we maybe got 2. Because we got some Friday night, it started snowing. And then when we woke up, I thought, oh, there's going to be tons of snow. It's going to be wet and beautiful. And it was raining. So a lot of it had melted away. And then a couple hours later, it was like full-on snowstorm. It was intense. I was like, whoa, what happened? All of a sudden, tons of snow. And then it got really cold, so now it's really icy. But the trees are still beautiful, and it was pretty good first snow, I'd have to say. So, but it's supposed to warm up this week, so we'll see. But anyway, I digress. I picked out a new book. I went to the shelf of Doctor Who books because I've kind of been enjoying these at the moment. I bought a whole bunch of these for $5 at Gen Con, and with the intent of reading them and then putting them in a Doctor Who swap, which I haven't done in a while. I have a whole bunch of stuff for Doctor Who swap, and I haven't participated in one. There hasn't been one in a while, or at least not in the groups I'm in. So I picked up this one, which is the first 11th Doctor with Amy and Rory that I'm going to read. I've read another 11th Doctor story, but he had a different companion. And so this one will hopefully be good. We'll see. This one is called Nuclear Time. The impossible has already happened. So I'll let you know how it goes. And I'll transfer the bookmark to the new book. Ta-da! So I'll let you know how that one is. Not entirely sure. We'll find out. But I think that's it for this week. I hope you all have a great week of knitting, and I look forward to seeing your finished objects in the Fall Colors Knit Along thread on Ravelry. And I think that's it. All right, I'll talk to you all next week. Bye.